There we go. Forgot to set up my mic. Hello, how's it going? Here I am. Rock you like a hurricane. Oops. How's it going? Hello, Pokraj, Birdie, and Cynthia. Glad to hear you've cleared up with your bronchitis, Birdie. How are you all doing? Ow. Bang my knee on the handle. Yeah, I may have a chair here, but it's not actually that comfortable because my knees are constantly pressed against the cupboards here. So, fun. Yeah, how's everyone doing? I need my drink. I'd love to learn how to make these so I could do a sugar-free version. Yeah, the Madeleines are actually a Genoese sponge, so they do use quite a bit of sugar, at least ratio-wise to how much flour they have. Genoese is heavily reliant on butter and eggs in order to serve as the leavening agents. It does have a bit of baking powder in there, but not much. 3/4 teaspoon inside this particular recipe. And you can also do versions that have you can do versions that have eggs with like soft peaks as well, so kind of like, you know, how you'd whip up a meringue. But that's a bit more intensive. I was going to do a recipe like that, but I found an alternate one, this one, because I didn't want to have to turn on the stand mixer on full speed, since that would be very, very loud for a lot of people. And I know that people have said that they don't like the stand mixer sound too much. So this one can be made completely by hand with only 2 bowls. Very simple recipe. And there goes that. Simple recipe. For a treat that looks fancier than it actually is. Syndrome Noir, hello, how are you doing? How's your day? By the way, if any of you fancy becoming a channel member, remember you do get early access ad-free videos as part of the package, and some nice emotes to go with it. Well, that's all. Anyway, let me double check this recipe. Yeah, I'm going to get started on this fairly swiftly. Alright, so first of all we have to start by melting some butter. So we need 6 tablespoons of this, and I need to cube it. Where's my paring knife? There we go. Yep, so 6 tablespoons of this. There we go. Okay, there we go. I'm going to cube it just so that it can melt faster. Let me move the laptop. On the last day of antibiotics, so all good. Wonderful. What have you been recovering from, if you don't mind my asking? I never have a good time with antibiotics. For some reason, and it's a very unusual symptom, I end up experiencing significantly high anxiety peaks. Don't know why, and it's also one of those things that's like sort of started in adulthood but wasn't present in childhood. But yeah, it's really wonderful. Hey, recovery buddies, good for you all. I'm lucky in that I rarely get sick, but I guess to compensate for that, I have a wife that is ill most of the time. What have you all been up to, other than being ill? Yep, I'm like Bruce Willis from Unbreakable. I just don't get ill. I haven't had a cold in like 10 years. Everything's blocking the way. I haven't had a cold in about 10 years. I think the only time I really got sick in front of my wife was when I one time got food poisoning. And then when I ended up throwing up from that, she ended up running away and hiding in our closet. True love. She has a emetophobia, so that's why. toss these inside here, get them melted. You always want to be careful when melting butter because it is no joke and it can very easily start popping in your microwave. I would put it inside of a pot to boil instead, but I don't fancy getting all of that stuff out. One thing you can also do with Madeleines is if you want to melt the butter, and you know melted butter is a crucial component to it, you could put it in a pot and boil it until the butter starts browning. Browned butter is something that can add a nice bit of contrast and extra flavor, a bit of depth to the things that you bake. So for example, if you're making like chocolate chip cookies, brown butter can be a nice addition to that. The only difference is that if you use brown butter as opposed to softened butter inside chocolate chip cookies, you will end up with something that is a bit crunchier or chewier compared to the cakier flavor of one used with softened butter. But each to their own. You never know until you try. Let's check this. Good melt. Needs about 15 more seconds. And we do also want this butter to be fairly warm as well, about 104 degrees Fahrenheit, thereabouts. Very persistent throat inflammation. I'd take strong antibiotics, 15 days overall. Oof, sounds rough. Sorry, everything is in the way. I've been in a bit of a rush for preparation today since I had to go out shortly before I got started. And setting up all of this equipment for a baking stream is far more intensive than most people might think. You haven't missed everything, Pokraj, don't worry. I got right into this time. I didn't want to dally around too much because this is going to take a bit of time here and there. But how are you? Dylan, hello, how are you doing? Dylan, my erstwhile research assistant on things. How's it going? No tech issues? Not really, no. I mean, I just had one moment where I forgot to set my microphone as the default in OBS, but I was prepared for it. The problem is that you can't adjust things like that while you're on like different scenes. So while I was on my starting soon screen, or whatever I just renamed it to, I couldn't enable the microphone there, so I had to wait until the stream started. OBS is amazing, you know? Okay. Working on a Right to Maim by Jasbir Poir. It's very good. I have never heard of that. It's about war or something like that. Okay. So I'm gonna let this butter keep warm, cool down, make sure that all of the large pieces have broke down. Yep. Okay, we'll let that sit there. We might have to heat it up in a little bit, but we'll see. So next I'm going to refer to this recipe here because this is only the second time that I've baked this. I'm going to need some sugar, salt, vanilla beans, and lemon zest in a large bowl. So I'm going to use this one over here, and that one I'm going to use for flour. So let's see. I got invested in catching up on a podcast, funnily enough, is about food. Isn't it you nice as all? What about Camus? Curie is right here at my feet. I think she's got her eyes set on coming up here, but we'll see how that goes. Camus, where is he? Bedroom, I think? I don't know, he's being aloof. You know, salted food, I do not. I gotta admit, I don't really watch anything food related. What was I getting? Sugar. So, 75 grams of granulated sugar. And this also uses cake flour instead of all-purpose flour. I may not have enough cake flour I didn't realize I had so little left. It only uses 100 grams, but we shall see. If we don't have enough left, I can easily just fill in the blanks with some all-purpose flour. Not a big deal. So 75 grams. That's too much. 20 grams too much. 10 grams too much. 78. 74. 75. Okay. Some salt, just need, it says 1/8 of a teaspoon, so I'm just gonna pinch of salt this, eyeball it. That'll do. I live on YouTube, so I just know stuff. Most people I've noticed in our Discord tend to live on YouTube. No judgments or anything like that. There's a good amount of information on there. Lots of entertainment. But yeah, I never really got into the food side of YouTube. Right to Meme is about a debility which is about debility, which reframes disability as an identity category denied to groups of people whose mass disability is considered normal. So light reading, and I assume. For example, Palestinians to whom the book is dedicated came out in 2017 after she visited Palestine in 2015. I see. Okay, where was I? Sugar, salt, vanilla beans. We'll be using vanilla extract because vanilla beans are very expensive. Vanilla extract, I need half a teaspoon, so just about that. Otherwise, the music volume okay on there. And lemon zest. Okay, so I need to zest about half a lemon using a zester or a microplane, if you want to be fancy. This is a lemon that I sort of partially zested. You know, I'll just use the fresh one. Little tip for you, if you want to zest a lemon or juice a lemon, one thing you can do is give it a good roll around on a counter while applying pressure to it. So if you want to do something like this, just move it around to get the juices flowing. It just awakens the flavor a bit more. Tremolo, oi, how's it going for you? There we go, that should be enough. Fury's got the zoomies for some reason. She just dashed around. Vanilla is indeed expensive. I remember this specific type of vanilla which had a compostable packet. Ooh, fancy. Yeah, vanilla is very expensive. That's why if you do bake a lot like I do, it's better to go for like larger quantities of it, because those tiny vanilla bottles which they sell at the supermarket, you will lose a lot of money if you end up sticking to those things. Okay, so I'm going to zest this, and I'm going to need about half the lemon's worth. I'll probably go a little bit more though, just because I like a nice lemony flavor. As for what flavors you include with a Madeleine, you could also go orange as well. That goes well if you're to put it with, say for example, some dipped chocolate on it. If you saw the picture in the Discord or on a thumbnail, that's some previous Madeleines that I made, which I dipped in chocolate. And those were very nice, and I made those with orange, but these ones are just going to go with lemon and also some sprinkling of powdered sugar on top of it. And yeah, but you know, lemon doesn't pair well with chocolate, two heavily contrasted flavors, so yeah, we'll avoid that. Whereas orange and chocolate go together extremely well. There's the zest. Got a good view, kind of. Not great. Okay, yeah, this is a not so pleasant looking mix, I won't lie. That should do. Gives a nice lemony tang. I'm gonna give the zester a bit of a clean, which is always a pain. Yeah, it's a preheat. Preheat at 395. Yep, that's right. Okay. Just catch up with you all. I know that lemon rolling hack. Yeah, it's a pretty well-known hack, I won't lie. I'm not being special there. I used to steal the Madeleines from Starbucks in undergrad. Good! Yeah, they can afford it, they don't need them. Plus, their Madeleines are very good. Homemade Madeleines is like infinitely better than what you get from the supermarket, even from good supermarkets or stores, etc. And I will go on to explain why when we get to that point. What music is going on today? Whatever you see in the corner, really. Some royalty-free synthwave playlist. We'll see if it's royalty-free once YouTube gets back to me and tells me, hey, that wasn't royalty-free. In fact, I have an email right now. Is that them? No. Good. I imagine Salari is a repository of niche kitchen hacks. And hey, that's how you become a qualified chef or baker. Just knowing random facts and applying them in the kitchen. Bonjour, Silla. How are you doing? Comment allez-vous? Okay, what else do I need in this? Sugar, salt, vanilla beans, lemon zest in a large bowl. Okay, and then what we're gonna do, we're gonna be adding some honey to this one. 1.5 tablespoons, a bit of milk and some oil. Odd combination, I know it sounds like, but this is Genoese sponge. It's a bit of a odd cake and at times temperamental. So 1.5 tablespoons honey. Dump that in. Let it drip. Amber gold. And I'll just eyeball a 1/2 tablespoon here. 2. My wife, this is my wife's honey technically. She puts it inside of her plain Greek yogurt in the mornings. I have to get dirty and just try and get this out with my finger. And let me ask you all, what's your favorite thing to put on toast? Because when I was a kid, I used to really love putting honey on toast. That's so good. Apparently honey is very good for allergies too. Getting this cream, so I need to use it again immediately. I'll tell you what, let me get another tablespoon instead. Okay, so need 1 tablespoon of milk and 1 tablespoon of oil. I will be using olive oil today. There's the milk. Got some nice whole milk right here. Usually get 2%, but you know, being fancy. And a tablespoon of olive oil. Yep, here's our beautiful mixture right here. Looks very visually appealing. I'm sure you can agree with that. Put the lids back on. But don't worry, once we stir it up, it'll look even worse. Okay. And now the spoons again. Tandoori mayonnaise phase once. Oof. I gotta admit, I'm fully averse to mayonnaise in all forms. Even the Japanese one, was it Kewpie? With the egg yolks inside of it. Never understood the love of mayo. Keeping mayo so it is indeed, yeah. Freaks me out a little bit, I won't lie. Especially since they put it on pizzas as well. Okay, we're gonna mix all this shit together. Oh, gotta put in 2 eggs as well. Those are room temperature eggs, so they mix a bit better. No shells, good. Okay, now I'm gonna mix all this mess together with a whisk. I'm gonna use the whisk first. Lovely. I feel like I probably should have incorporated the flour into the whatchamacallit. Sorry, I feel like I should have incorporated the sugar into the flour as opposed to this mix. It's not too bad, but you know, I would have incorporated a bit better, I think. Okay, it should be mixed enough. Right, now we need the cake flour, 100 grams. Hopefully we have 100 grams. Looks like I just threw eggshells on the floor. It does a bit, yeah. That's because I did. Okay. Yeah, this is cake flour. It's supposed to give you a nice lighter texture compared to all-purpose flour. Let's see how much I've got. I need 100 grams. Ooh, yeah, I do. Okay, that's good. A little bit more than that. 10 grams over. You do not want to overdo it with the flour with this mixture, otherwise it can be too dense. And one of those amounts where you're not sure if it's worth saving. It's too little for absolutely anything. So I'll probably toss that in a bit. All right, gotta sift this. There we go. And I need 3/4 teaspoons of baking powder. I just touched the honey. That's nice and stuck on my fingers. Let's see, 3/4. This might be a bit wet from washing it. It is. Let me just dry it a bit. Okay. Double check. Measure twice, cut once. Yep, 3/4. I'll put that in here, no need to sift. 1, 2, 3. This a quick mix together. Actually, let me check, see if there's anything else I'm missing. Okay. Yep, we're all good. Be a good boy and not mix it on top of a weighing scale, because that can mess with it in the future. We've got a good little mix together, and after that we're going to incorporate these 2 parts together. Overhead. So let me adjust the lighting a little bit, because I can tell that it's very dark on the camera. What? Okay. Try this. That's better. Color-wise, it isn't great, but you know, it's lines. Idle Vice, every live stream, you greet me, you bloom and grow. Oh. I recognize Idle Vice from Sound of Music, right? If I watch this to the end, I'll probably go into my remembrance of the time lost. Give it a shot then. It's my first time in the chat. Hello, Idle Vice. How are you doing? Nice to have you here. Always love having first timers here. Quick advice, the egg sugar mixture should be mixed until you get a nice creamy whitish texture. This is going to make the Madeleines airy. Okay. But it doesn't look that way on the camera, I think. And I did have another recipe where I was considering making it into like soft peaks. But the only differences with that one is, yeah, people don't like hearing the stand mixer sound on the stream. So I found this recipe instead that uses honey as part of it, and apparently that's supposed to help with the structure. Alright, so I'm just going to incorporate a bit of it first, just to avoid getting lumps inside of it. Like I said, all this can be done by hand. You do not need a stand mixer or anything. It is very, very easy to put all this together. And if you don't have cake flour, all-purpose should be absolutely fine. Yeah, I thought it was the first time I'd seen you here, Zilla. Welcome along. Fellow streamer. Because, yeah, you stream yourself, don't you? On Saturdays. More in... Yeah, I just want to make sure you don't have any lumps inside of here. And make sure everything on the sides is scraped down and incorporated. We're probably going to have to reheat that butter in a moment just to get it to a decent temperature. Rather hard to do it by hand, to be honest. This recipe in particular, isn't that hard, I think, because I've made a batch of it previously, and it turned out quite well. But there's one other recipe that I've tried in the past by John Cannell, who I've done a lot of recipes by, and his requires the eggs turned into stiff peaks, along with at least an hour's worth of cooling. So this one I just gave a shot just because the baker that I got it from is very good. And it wasn't one of those recipes that's just made with the intention of like being rushed or anything. Just get that quickly incorporated and I'll toss in the rest of it. One important factor that you want from Madeleines. Obviously you have the shell shape on the top of it, and that's like the signature of a Madeleine. But you also want a hump on the back of it, and a decent sized hump as well. So you want, you know, to have the shell on the top and then a hump on the back like that. And that means that you have to cool the mixture for at least an hour, preferably overnight. Then when you put it inside the oven, you preheat the oven, and as soon as you put the Madeleines in there, you are supposed to lower the temperature of the ovens. Similar kind of thing that you do with muffins as well. Any kind of like small, cakey kind of thing that needs to have some kind of, I don't want to say shell, but you know, any kind of like surface, solid type surface like that. So like when I made the muffins, for example, I ended up lowering the temperature of that just so I could basically, you know, keep the outsides a more solid texture. I keep saying solid, but I don't really mean solid. Smooth, I don't know, who cares? Yeah, it shows the brownie recipes. I'm always interested in people's brownies recipes. Brownie recipes and cookie recipes are one of those things that tend to be like very personal from people. You tend to get people that have their own preferences, who like chewy brownies, who like gooey brownies, who like all kinds of awful stuff as well. It's all preference, and it's interesting to see. Get a bit of flour there. And of course, some people prefer making it from the box, like a, whatchamacallit. What's the name? God damn, I can't remember. You know, you can get like the boxes of brownies and other stuff. Betty Crocker, that's it. Thank you very much, Tremolo. Appreciate that. Personally, I like my brownies to be very fudgy. You know, arguably gooey. I think I have a little bit of a lemon stem inside of there. Accidentally shaved that off as it was zesting it. All right, now this looks like it's pretty much ready. Let me get those sides scraped down a bit. Yeah, I don't see any lumps. The lemon zest looks like it's well incorporated inside of it. How would you rate the effort to taste ratio? It's a good ratio. It's really not a lot of effort, to be honest with you. Especially if you have something like an electric mixer or a stand mixer, 'cause obviously that always makes it easier. But even if you don't, it's still very easy to make. It's one of those foods that impresses people that, you know, don't know too much about baking. It's one of those things that see like, wow, that must have taken so much effort. Because technically, you know, it is French pastry. In fact, I have a fun little fact for you. So, it is believed that Madeleines were made by the writer Proust. Proust was a very sickly person, so he wouldn't leave the house very often, and as such he would end up relying on whatever provisions were brought in for him or that he had lying around the house. And the original recipe was apparently like very stiff, very, I guess, dense inside of it, so it wasn't perfect, but it ended up developing from there. It was more like a sort of like a shortbread kind of thing originally, from what I've heard, but the French people developed upon it and made it into the wonderful thing that it is today. I can see Salari and D. Salari as John Hughes movie protagonists. That'd be Kevin McAllister murdering some home invaders. That was John Hughes, right? Okay, so let me see how this butter is. So we need the butter to be about 104 Fahrenheit. And I have this laser thermometer here just to check. Okay, so that's 80.5 right now. Let me blast it for about 10 seconds. Yeah. Low waist high melanin. Hello, hello. How's you? Yeah, it needs a bit more. Another 10, let's say. Okay, nice and clear. Where'd it go? Oh. 107, 108. Test. Okay. As long as it's not scalding, it should be okay. And finally, we're just going to incorporate it into this mix here. Breakfast Club is one of my... Oh, Home Alone was written by John Hughes. Oh, okay. Who directed it then? Breakfast Club is one of my comfort movies. Breakfast Club is great. Yeah, it's been a long time since I watched it, but yeah, Breakfast Club. R.I.P. John Hughes. All-time great. Did you know they're making a documentary on that era? I did not know, but I guess I can't say I'm surprised since, you know, that's a rich time for a rich period of nostalgia from around then. That's something I learned the other day. One thing you might have thought of is, why has there never been a remake, reboot, or sequel of the Back to the Future movies? Something I definitely wondered about, since it seems like something that you could earn a ton of money off of. And I found out it's actually a pretty interesting reason, because the creator of Back to the Future, Robert Zemeckis, actually is kind of an anomaly in the film industry, in that he actually owns the rights to Back to the Future, meaning that he has the final say-so about what is made and released on it. So he has said categorically that he never wants, that as long as he lives, that he and his business partner, Bob, I think it's Bob Monk or something, that as long as they live, there will never be a sequel, reboot, remake, or anything of the like based around Back to the Future. Now, the only way that that could, you know, the caveat is as long as they're alive. So you better believe that the moment they die, the movie studios will swoop in like vultures in order to take advantage of that, which is pretty morbid when you think about it. You don't even have to think about it, that's really fucking morbid. What am I looking for? Okay. But there is a possibility that even after their death, that it could be prevented, because if the movie studios did come along and say like, hey, we're gonna make a Back to the Future now, because we waited long enough, waited for the guy to die and everything, come on. But if the estate of Zemeckis or Bob Monk was to fight against it, it would mean that there would still be no remake. And if there's one thing I know for sure, is that of all the movies, franchises, etc. that do not need a remake, it's Back to the Future. I rewatched all three of those movies recently with my wife. They have held up extremely well. They are relics of their time that do not need to be disturbed. And yeah, just leave them alone. There's plenty of things that should have been left alone, like for example the Ghostbusters movies, but no, they dug up their legacy just to crap out something. By the way, my next video is actually going to be about the death of the movie theater, so this is all related to that. But yeah, movie theaters are dying off very quickly. Oh yeah, should probably explain what I'm doing here. So this right now, what we have to do is that you have to let the batter rest in the fridge for anywhere up to an hour to 24 hours. And you have to apply the plastic wrap onto the top itself to prevent it from developing a skin, kind of like you would do with a custard. And I'm just going to add another layer over the top of it just to make up for any gaps that might exist. I hate saran wrap, slash plastic wrap, whatever. There we go. So, as I already said, gotta let this sit there for about an hour. The longer the better. Let me catch up. Technically in Hindi cinema there is an unofficial remake of Back to the Future called Action Replay, and it's set in 1970s Bombay. Yeah, stuff like that you can kind of get away with so long as you're not like fully reusing the plot and obviously characters, character names, etc. Stuff like that you can get away with. But when it comes to remakes and such, you know, the power of a remake or reboot or whatever is being able to use that name once again. So even if Hollywood did want to try their own version of it, you know, like, oh fine, we'll make Back to the Future at home, audiences wouldn't go for it. It'd be garbage. Besides, like modern film, like the way that modern film industry works, like they can't be trusted to make Back to the Future remake or whatever it is. And given that circumstances with Michael J. Fox, one of the reasons why Robert Zemeckis said that he didn't want a remake was because it would be disrespectful to Michael J. Fox after, you know, his diagnosis of advanced Parkinson's, which is completely true. He and Christopher Lloyd were like, you know, the heart of that. So putting in like fucking Timothy Chalamet or some shit in the role of Martin, God no. And let's face it, it'd just be a plot line of them going back to like 2004 or some shit, and you just get all these fucking, you know, nostalgic references of like, oh, I'm gonna go watch American Idol. Remember 2000s? I'm gonna listen to some Black Eyed Peas. Did you watch The Matrix Revolutions or whatever it was, released in 2003 or 4? Wow, that was bad, right? All great, depending on which studio makes a Back to the Future remake. Anyway, so as you can imagine, since the Madeleines are a special shape, you need a special pan for it, and these are what you need. As you can see, they got the shapes inside of them with the shells. These are super cheap, like they're the kind of thing that you think is expensive. You can get these on like Amazon for like $12 or something like that. These were probably about that much, because obviously you're not going to use them very often, unless you can think of something creative to do with them, but personally I can't. Okay, so with this one, kind of like the muffins, excuse me, that were made, I'm going to grease them up a little bit with some butter, and then we are going to put some flour on them as well, just to make them so they can be removed easily. I'm genuinely sad 2D animated movies aren't really being made anymore. I am too. Like, I really hate the fact that like that is an era that's just gone, and that movie studios, especially Disney, think that there is no value in 2D animation. And even though like I'm not a huge fan of anime, like if I was working in Hollywood as an executive, I would be looking at the anime industry and thinking, how can I get a slice of that? Because that is a lot of adults and teenagers who are into 2D animation there. And yeah, why aren't you jumping on that market? You don't have to make Disney movies all the time. You can do other 2D animated projects. And don't use that shitty 3D to 2D look, you know, that a lot of like anime productions use these days. I really don't like the look of that. I know it saves time, but I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. The bad version of Let's Get It Started, yes. That aged super well, that one did. I felt old in a burger shop last week. They were playing 90s music as background noise while I was like, why do I know every single song that is happening? It's, yeah, stuff like that that ends up making you feel your age. Even things like, you know, kids that grew up in the 90s learning that Macaulay Culkin is now like 43 or something like that. Ugh. I love independent animated movies though. Yeah, some of those are fantastic, yeah. It's really where like, it's the shining spot of the genre really. And you know, a lot of the reasons why it's not seen or treated so highly in Hollywood is just because it's just seen as a thing for kids, you know? Older generations just see stuff like that as, oh, it's children's stuff. It's not exactly the kind of thing that wins Oscars, because a jury of elderly movie executives in like their 70s and 80s don't care about this kind of thing. They just see it as like, you know, oh, they made that's pretty advanced compared to that Betty Boop or something like that. They don't look at Miyazaki movies and see them, or Studio Ghibli movies and see them as like extremely mature, provocative films about like the nature of life, war, childhood, etc. Like all these different kinds of themes, nature, everything that's been like explored in those movies. It's the veneer that they pay attention to. Oh look, it's a cartoon, and that's it. It's a very myopic way of looking at media, that's for sure. The animators will go on strike, so good luck to them. Yes, they do need to go on strike, definitely. And yeah, the animation industry is animation, VFX industry, like it's all a shit show, especially the VFX industry. But you know, in Disney in particular, given how bad their recent CG animated films have done, I reckon something is going to happen there, definitely. Has Pixar ever done any layoffs? I'm curious about that. Or at least any mass layoffs or something. Because yeah, Pixar, it's sad to think of really, because you know, at one point in time, Pixar was like the premier CG animated film house. Now they have just fallen off, where I'd say like only 30 to 40% of their films are like genuine hits. Now they're trying to make like, because Inside Out was like their last big one, I think. I might be missing something here. But now they're trying to make Lightning Strike Twice with Inside Out 2. Which I only found out the other day, they're like, most of the cast from the original isn't even returning to that one. Like I know Bill Hader, Louis Black, Mindy Kaling, like they're not returning as like their emotional counterparts. Which I'm glad about Mindy Kaling, because Mindy Kaling fucking sucks, I won't lie. And not for the weird online right-wing guy reasons or anything like that. I just think she sucks as a person, really. And a writer. Because, you know, I did check out Velma out of morbid curiosity, and that show fucking sucks. It is so bad. I've never seen a show that thinks it's so smart, but completely botches it at the same time. And it's funny that it got a second season out of it, despite Warner Brothers being on the warpath against animation. You know, I can guarantee it, the reason why it got a second season is because it got a bunch of people that were super pissed off at it online, and they knew that they could get a bunch more people hate watching it. And I was like, okay, well, here's the second season. Go make more YouTube videos on it. But that's kind of the irony of online engagement, really. You get a bunch of people who say this is terrible, it's the worst thing that's ever happened, and you know, this is a threat to civilization and all that kind of bullshit. And it's like, well, you know that you're keeping it alive, right? Like, they know. 3D movies are such an ugly, unappealing look to me, sorry. No, I agree with that. Like, some movies just don't look great. But hey, the Garfield movie looks fantastic. Chris Pratt, boy, what a talent. I like the way Chinese animators blend 2D and 3D. Yeah, stuff like that can be done well too. Like Futurama, like they were one of the earlier things to blend 2D and 3D together, and they did a really good job of it. That Minions. Oh yeah, the Illumination Studios look. That tends to be the Minions thing. Which, you know, Illumination Studios. God. No offense to the people working in those studios, because they do a lot of hard work, but their movies, oh boy, I do not like. I'm just trying to get this well buttered. Like the one thing that like you get from those CG animated movies these days is that you get producers making films that are like you get them like it's primarily aimed at children, but you also get bits where it's like, oh, this one's for the adults. So you like throw in a bit of a, you know, subtle nod to them, something that they'll recognize. And Illumination Studios, like, they don't even try for that shit. Like, all they do is like throw in a dance number from like a song from the 90s or something like that, just so they can like nod to the millennial parents that are showing the kids the movies, like, hey, remember this? Yeah, remember the song? This is how we do it. Like, oh, that was a banger, right? Remember when you were young? Remember when your knees didn't hurt? Remember when you didn't have children who came along and made everything more difficult? Remember when you didn't have to pay $100 for theater tickets just so you could see it with two people that will just go to the bathroom all the time? Remember when your mother didn't criticize your parenting constantly? I don't know why I'm saying all this. I'm not a parent, so I don't know the experience. I think I've fallen behind. Oh boy, I did fall behind, yeah. Velma didn't suck entirely because of Mindy though. It's way more complicated apparently. I mean, I don't know. It could, obviously, you know, an animated show, or any show for that matter, isn't the product of one person. But Mindy Kaling has had some questionable writing for a very long time now. Even if you look at something like The Mindy Project, which was a Hulu show, I believe. Like, even that had like some very iffy stuff in it, problematic stuff as well. Also, generally would have preferred to avoid not saying this, but there was also a time where she had an interview on a late night talk show and she basically all but bragged about sexually harassing one of her male co-stars, which, not cool. I only found out about the Garfield movie when I was going to see Haikyuu, the dumpster battle, and brought my tickets to bought my tickets at the kiosk. I mean, I can't blame you, you know, that's the pinnacle of cinema right there. I was confused that it was taking up 3 screens. I mean, no confusion there. I met a bunch of the Illumination staff once, schmoozed a little. Oh God, this cat jumps around like a tick. Schmoozed a little before I ended up doing comics instead. I don't blame you, that's a good choice of time usage. Funny, my uncle went from comics to 3D animation, lol. You know, where the money is these days, I guess. I do not remember when my knees didn't hurt. Join the club. Cheers to you, Zilla. My knees have never not hurt. Makes going on to cardio equipment a real joy. More like Salari. Hey, that's what they called me back in high school. I got that acid tongue. You are a cat parent, which is basically the same as, you know, looking after a child, which I love saying to people, to parents, because it genuinely pisses them off. Yeah, if you ever want to piss off a parent that like won't stop talking about their kid, like, you know, oh, it's so difficult. Really easy way to like annoy them, or at least have some fun for yourself, to entertain yourself, is just say to them something like, oh yeah, I understand it. Yeah, I have a dog or a cat myself, and it can be real challenging sometimes, you know. Sometimes you have to take them to the vets. Sometimes they wake you up too early. You try to teach them maths, but they won't do it. Cats can't be reasoned with. That's true. Children know, they know language. They can eventually get it. So which is the more difficult one to raise? You tell me, America. Alright, let me dust this a bit. Also need to have a quick break in a moment because I have tea running through my system, turning it into pee. I made my wife laugh. Hello Rowan, nice to see you. Glad to see you. I'm glad that you came along. Much appreciated. I'm gonna get these dusted, so bear with me a second. Someone tuned in right now, this would be a weird sight. Me just spanking a piece of metal. Also, sorry for those of you who came along in hopes of seeing Greg Filth on Demon Piss, but he pulled out because he had to go for an emergency manicure. Or at least that's what he told me that he said was the issue. In reality, I'm not going to cover for him. What he was going for was an elective colonoscopy. He's had like 5 this week, it's weird. Okay. Get a pinch more. Alright, I'm gonna get the excess off. Excuse me for the loud clang. Avert your ears. 1, 2, 3. Okay, all good. Nice and dusted. 2. Here we go. As I mentioned earlier, this does take about an hour to cool. However, I don't like waiting. So, I decided to be prepared for this. And if you repeat with me, here's one I made earlier. I made this last night in preparation for this because I wanted to have it good and cool and ready to go into the oven. So yeah, this is our second batch that I made prior. Food channel magic, indeed, the best kind of magic. However, before I do start piping these in here, I will put this back in the fridge, thus dampening the reveal. And I'm gonna go on a short break for about 4 or 5 minutes or so. In the meantime, I set up a question of the day. What was it again? I think it was like, which movies have you seen recently? So it's quite fitting with what we were just talking about. But yeah, which movies have you seen recently? What did you think of them as well? I'll share them in the chat. And yeah, I'll be about 4 or 5 minutes or so. Just going to get myself adjusted. Don't know what that means. But I'll be back in a moment. What am I doing with my life? One sec. Alright, I'm back. Which movies have you all seen recently? I watched My Oni Girl the other day. It was alright. I think I've seen that advertised somewhere. Is it on Netflix by any chance? And it's an anime movie, I assume. I went and saw a showing of Don Hertzfeld's Me and It's Such a Beautiful Day with his commentary. It was really cool. It was always neat to see something like that. IQ Dumpster Battle is a good way to jump into the series if you've never seen it. And like sports and anime, I don't give a toss about volleyball, but I love Haikyuu, so recommended. I never knew that was about sports. I'd heard of Haikyuu before, but yeah, I didn't know it was about sports. What is the last movie I watched? You tell me, Tremolo. Reach through the deep recesses of your brain. I think it was Cube, 1997, an interesting critique of the prison industrial complex. I liked it, I enjoyed it quite a lot. I've never seen it, but I have heard very good things about Cube. I think at the time it was sort of overlooked as just being another like schlocky horror thing, but you know, a lot of people do say it's genuinely good. I feel ashamed of not watching movies. I watch Night Moves by Kelly Reichardt on Mubi, and it was so intense it made me feel disgusted and disheartened. I mean, on Mubi, when you get like those real indie horror bangers, assuming it's a horror, they go hard on those platforms. Those real indie horror stuff, like, ooh, those get way too much. What on earth are those boys up to? That movie gets called The Dumpster Battle. Sounds like a lot of fun to me. The Mario movie, which is very fun, ... I mean, if it was showing on TV, I'd probably watch it, but I genuinely can't stand Chris Pratt, so I feel like if I watch the Mario movie, most of the time would just be me thinking to myself, fuck this guy, fuck this guy, fuck this guy. Ooh. Alright. Oh crap. This chat sucks. Not you, the chat function. How can I at people? I'm on a tablet. I don't know how it works here. I think if you just type at and the name, it'll automatically like highlight for someone in the chat. At least that's how it works. For me, like my wife, she's D Salari, and whenever someone ats her, it still highlights the Salari part for me. So yeah, I think it should be fine. I don't think there's any trick to it or anything. I watched the new Little Mermaid after the Mario movie. They weren't kidding when they said good movie lighting was dead. Yeah, no kidding. I had to boost the brightness on my laptop with an extension. Oof. You watched the Little Mermaid remake, didn't you? Yeah, what did you think? No? Yeah, no. Not a surprise. Those Disney remakes, God, just rip the soul out of everything that was once good. Alright, while this is still cold, let's get it into the tray. Whip off the plastic. Try to be smooth with this, just so it doesn't take off too much of the liquid. Or not. That should be fine. An acceptable loss. Which is exactly what I say about my serotonin. Not really. Okay, so we're gonna put this into a piping bag, which will make it easier to fill these up. So I'm just gonna loosen this up a bit. And yeah, if you've never seen my piping bag trick before, I mean, it's not my trick, but it's one I use. It's very, very useful because filling a piping bag when you're inexperienced is a huge pain in the ass. So you just put it inside of a cup and then you fold over the edges like that. Just fill it right up like that. It's much easier than holding it and, you know, hoping for the best. Let's fill this up. Please do not spill. Going well, going well. Don't jinx it. Don't know if I've ever said this before, but I really hate filling stuff on the counter whenever I am making something, whether that's baking or cooking. Yeah. It's not the best hobby to have when you're very particular about cleanliness. Okay. Last few bits. There we go. Not a single drop spilled. What a pro. Just let this soak in the sink. I feel like I'm going really hard on my S's today, which I've been told I do in my videos, and people whine about it, saying you need to use the de-esser. I do use the de-esser. My S's are just that powerful. Thank you. Anyone notice that in my video that my S's are like strong? I mean, I have, but I criticize every single aspect about my life. Duke. I know my internet is crap. I think it's due to the football game going on and everyone is watching. Choking up that signal or speed, whatever you want to call it. Have to go, but it was nice hanging out, enjoying the Madeleines. Thank you very much for stopping by, Zilla. I will one day, I promise you, stop by your stream. I always forget. It's terrible of me, but I shall. Thank you very much for stopping by. I've been watching nothing but Chinese, and I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, Zhangzhe, and gay dramas, so not too many movies. Yeah, see, to be honest with you, like, even as someone who, like, loves movies, and, has informed much of my life, and something I studied when I was at high school, college, and university, I don't really watch a lot of them these days. And that's not because they're bad or anything. I mean, there's a lot of shitty movies out there now. And there's just a lot of stuff that I'm simply not interested in. But these days I find myself watching TV more than I do movies. And that's just because the quality of TV shows out there right now is staggeringly high. I would say it has surpassed that of movie productions now. Not necessarily in, visual fidelity and all that kind of stuff, but story-wise, I think there are better stories being told on TV than there are in movie theaters. Like, even Dylan will attest to me with this one, because I know that Dylan is a huge fan of this. But like the show Severance, for example, leagues ahead of like any movie that's been produced in like the past 10 years or something. Like an immaculate show with a brilliant message. So I'm going to fill up each of these to about 80 to 85% capacity. You want them to be pretty full. And I use the piping bag here just to be a bit more accurate with it. Hopefully I won't mess this up. My piping bag technique is awful. Okay, not too bad. I'll just do one pass and then I will return to them just so I can use up the whole mix. So pardon me for my silence here. These don't have to be neat, because once you put them inside the oven, they will basically form their shape there. And as you can tell, this is a very loose batter anyway, so you don't have to worry about it holding any shape. Needs a bit more. I think this should just be enough for one tray. Yeah, this isn't a very big yield of Madeleines, but you don't really need one. You don't need that many. Hope this is enough for a whole tray, because I feel like I'm running out. supposed to be enough. Let me maneuver this upwards. I'm sure these are some hilarious hand gestures right now, but none of us are going to bring it up because we're all registered adults, whatever that means. Okay, yeah, that should be good. Fill this up a bit more. Alright, which ones need a top up? Stop spilling. This one. This one, I guess. I'm just waiting for it to cool up to the edges just so I can get a good read on how much is needed. So this one. Anyone want to make any fart noises? Oh wait, you can't on YouTube. I used to have the fart noise sound effect on Twitch, but YouTube is a bunch of prudes and doesn't allow it. Fascists. A bit more in here. I remember when I once did that 50k Q&A video where I made Viennese walls, which I may make again one day on a stream. And someone got really pissy about me making a fart joke, and yeah, I was piping out the Viennese, like the cookie part or biscuit part, and I ended up, just like as I was piping it, saying to myself, I could be real immature and put a fart noise here, and I just did this where I was thinking about it. I was like, then I started piping and I added the fart noise to the sound effect, to the action. And then some fucking prude in the comments was like, you know, oh, I expected you to be a bit more mature than that, than to use fart jokes in your videos. But I guess I was wrong. Unsubbed. Just tell you what, why don't you go off into the corner and sniff your own farts, you pretentious arsehole. I really can't stand pretentious stuff like that. Like, look, farts are funny, alright? Like, no matter which way you paint it, it's funny. Because it's shit-scented gas coming out of a person's ass. How is that not funny? It ain't exactly the peak of humor, but it's one of those kinds of humors that it's multi-generational. That people from 1 to 90 to 100 can enjoy. Let me just top this up a bit. I can't remember who said it, but they said something like, you can never be too smart to enjoy a fart joke, but you can be dumb enough not to. Something like that. But anyway, farts aside, here is the Madeleines ready to go inside of the oven. Just let me double check the instructions here. So yeah. I did say I should chill the pan, but that should be fine, I hope. Okay, so we're gonna put them in the oven at 395, and as soon as we put it in there, we're gonna drop it down to 365 instead. The high heat is just so we can get the fuck. Yeah, I'll check in a second. I may have scalded myself. One moment. I touched the wire rack on it. Hopefully not for too long. Bear with me. Actually, you can't see what's happening. It's fine. Okay. Yeah, just got to run my hand under cold water for a moment, just to avoid a blister. Or lukewarm water. I've heard it's supposed to be lukewarm, not cold. think it's fine. I don't have a sting. I don't have a stinging sensation or anything. Yeah, it'll probably be a small blister, but no big deal. Okay, drama averted. Alright, let's see. Looking good. Oh, timer. Sorry about your Google Assistants here, if you have one. Hey Google, set a timer for 9 minutes. So these bake fairly quickly. Use another minute. I know. I usually do for everything, but this one, I got a bit reckless with it. Living life on the edge. Okay, let me catch up. People talking about another Severance Watcher. Wonderful. They're looking Proust-worthy. I am curious as to what Prousts look like, because, yeah, from what I've read, it didn't sound particularly appealing. But who knows, you know? All kinds of unappealing looking food can be really great. You know, a Big Mac looks like shit, but they're pretty good. They're okay. Kurashu, my once graphics guy. Well, I guess you still are occasionally. How are you doing, Kurashu? Hi to use. Contracted there, I'm not watching that on page. Oh, okay. Let me... Okay, yeah, it's gonna be a little blister. Not the end of the world. I'm gonna put some of this stuff away just to make some more space. Bear with me. My wife can have her honey back. And oh yeah, I'm gonna get some icing sugar just so we can garnish. What do you call it? Garnish? Just sprinkle some icing sugar on top of this. It's fine. No one cares. Put these in here. I wonder what this batter tastes like. Never tried it. Do you want to taste the batter? No? Try a bit. That's actually really nice. That's like one of the nicer batters I've tried. You need to try it. Yeah. I'm surprised by how nice it was. Good, right? Got that honey and lemon. Okay. I will save myself from salmonella. Just gonna do a little bit of cleaning. If you've got time to lean, you've got time to clean. So I was told back in the days where I worked retail. And then one day when I had enough of my boss, I took their life, visited them in the graveyard, and I leaned on their gravestone until it fell over. R.I.P. Gary. That wasn't a confession, by the way. If any of my old colleagues that I work with at IKEA who happen to be called Gary turn up dead, that wasn't me. Prove it. I don't think I work with anyone called Gary anyway. Salari can attest because he recommends me a ton of stuff that I'm sure I'd like because he knows my taste, but I'm so difficult about it. That's true. I will say I do have a knack for picking stuff out for people. It's very rare that I recommend a show to someone and they say that they didn't like it, unless they're being difficult. But you know, I used to have a job that involved seeing what was good for TV networks and what would work for it, so we could buy it up and schedule it and everything. So a bit of experience. Friday afternoon at work, not much happening, so finally got to come watch. Wonderful. Yeah, how do people feel about a Friday stream, you know, now that it's happening? Yeah, that's the thing when you end up doing streaming stuff. There's always an element of risk when it comes to switching days, because you can end up with like some long-time viewers who love one day but another day completely doesn't work for them, and then suddenly they feel like they're out in the cold. Then you have people who would love to watch a stream every single time, but they can't because it's on the wrong day. So yeah, it's hard to find like a decent middle ground. I did put a poll in the Discord for it, and Wednesdays and Fridays were what looked like the favored days. But then again, that poll was only for a very small sample of people. And then of course I recognize that most of the subscribers to my channel just don't give a shit about my streams, so there's that too. I do my Madeleines with sourdough nowadays. They pop up. They really pop up nicely. I've never heard of that before, but that does sound interesting. A lot of viewers, but not enough likes. That is true. Work on that, people. Smash that motherfucking like button. Alright, let me get a camera shot of this, assuming that this is gonna work. One moment. Nope, wrong one. There we go. What am I doing? Yeah. Here is the insides of the oven right now. As you can see, they got a nice rise going on. There's that hump. The view isn't great just because the oven door isn't very clean. But yeah, that's why you want to chill it, so it gets the hump like that. In the meantime, we'll see if we can find a cat. We have 1.5 minutes left on the timer. Where is the cat? Oh, in here. Oh my god, my fucking knees. Here we go. He's here. Look at the Prince of Darkness here. Hi. How are you doing? Managing to pay the rent on your property? Okay, we'll leave you be. Here you go, have a toy. Oh, my knees! Okay. Beat time, okay. Yeah, I went back to the gym for the first time in a while the other day, and catching up with me. Them squats. Oh hey Salari, did I tell you I got cited in a big name Star Trek scholar in her new book, Baby Academy's First Getting Cited. Baby Academics First Getting Cited. I don't think you did, no, congratulations. Gotta love that kind of stuff. I think my wife is gonna be soon. What are you working on? You're working on an abstract, aren't you? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's great though, I'm happy for you. Time is done. Stop! Okay. Trying to gauge whether it's okay, because these don't get very brown on the top. But we can tell whether they're okay by giving the hump a prod. So give me one moment. I'm gonna set up the camera so we can see inside again. Okay. Wow, steam. Okay, so it should be able to prod it. And yeah, it's nice and bouncy. Good, they're good. Okay, take them out, don't want to overdo it. Oven gloves. And here we go. Overhead view. I'll whip out my phone in a second to show you that. Feeling that blister now. I'm going to be moving some stuff in my bedroom so I can do a ring fit. I tried ring fit, and as much I will say, like, you know, for a workout game, it is vigorous. It will give you a workout, but if you have bad knees, forget about it. Like, it'll destroy your knees, that game, because you have so much running on the spot, and you really have to lift up your knees as well while you're doing it. Okay, so let's get a good cam shot of these. Here we go. Yeah, as you can tell, decent humps on these. Not super high, but that may be because I left it out of the fridge, but maybe a bit too long. And also I needed to put the tray inside the fridge too to get nice and cold. But either way, satisfactory humps. Just like my time in high school, it's all good. There we go, and of course we will flip them in a second. Realized my flash was on still. Okay. All right. So yeah, you actually have to remove them pretty quickly after they have finished inside, well, finished baking. Do I have anything to move them onto? Let me see. I remember a few years back, I was talking baking with someone, and you know, like most ovens have like that drawer underneath them and everything, which you store all of your shit in there, like baking trays, cutting boards, etc. Like, that's what everyone uses them for, and that's what they're for. You know, it's just storage. That's all it is. But I remember a few years back there was someone that absolutely insisted that they were a proving drawer where you're supposed to put bread to rest while it rises, and that you're supposed to turn on the oven and it'll use that heat to help the prove. Wrong. That is completely not true. Proving does not require a lot of heat. It gets very hot in that drawer underneath the oven. Probably about, if you're baking at about 400 or something, you'll probably get about 70 degrees Celsius inside of it, maybe 60 or something. But yeah, it was like, no, it's a proving drawer. Everyone has a proving drawer. I was like, no, but I'll let you say it anyway. It's fine. Yeah, I never heard that before. If you want a proving drawer or a proving cupboard, that shit's expensive. They're like as much as a mid-range oven. They can be like $1,000 or something. Okay, so I've got to be very gentle. I'm going to keep them. I'm going to keep them on this side for a moment, just so that can firm up a little bit, and then we can have a look at the underneath. They do cool down pretty quickly, but I am satisfied with these. They feel good. They have a good color to them. That one wasn't particularly well greased, but it's fine. Good, good, good. Good, good, good. And I'm pleased to see that they turned out well, since this one didn't involve having to whip up the eggs too much. As you know, like we spoke about earlier, the more traditional recipe for this is to use heavily whipped eggs so that they form soft peaks on it, which is still a lot of whipping. And even though I did do a decent amount of whipping, it was nowhere near enough compared to what's expected. So seeing them turn out like this is a nice surprise. Like I said, luckily these days I know what to look out for when it comes to bakers and recipes online. The kind of thing that the more you do it, you get more of a feel for it. You can look at a recipe and notice whether there's stuff in there that seem like a bit flavor wise or technique wise, etc. And most of the time those recipes are like, I don't know, some Midwestern white lady who has like 6 children, all of them are called Caden or something like that. They have a husband called Cradley. She's called Caitlin, but with like 3 Y's in it somehow. And she's like, here's how to make a chocolate bark. Put an entire ice cream cup. Put an entire ice cream inside of it. It's not like you make bark, Caitlin. I don't know what I'm getting on at now. This is a breakdown. This is an actual nervous breakdown. Okay. All right, and now we can see magic if we flip them. So let's look at this. I'm going to show you here first and foremost. Look at that, lovely and golden on top of it. And we will be taking a bite into one of these while on stream because they are very good warm. Let's give them a flip. And I will be putting on some powdered sugar. They smell very nice. Okay. Yeah, I am satisfied with these, and I get to have a whole extra batch made as well since we made those on the stream. Oof. Trying to hurt my finger now where I burned it. Yeah, I heard it was a warming drawer or something. I mean, it gets warm, and you can probably use it as a bit of a warming drawer, but as for proving, nah. Let me catch up. They look cute. They are very cute. And you know, that's the thing, like these look, you know, pretty damn fancy. But you saw what went into making it, and it's really easy. So if you ever fancy making something that's a bit impressive for your friends, family, etc., make some Madeleines. They're super, super easy. All you need to do is buy one of these trays. And like I said, you can get 2 of them for like $12, which really isn't a lot. If you had to like pay like $50 for one of these trays, then I'd probably say, you know, maybe give it a pass. How often am I making Madeleines? And even though I don't make them very often myself, still like, you know, $10 or something. Was it nicely golden? Yes, very nice colors on them. Did I turn off the oven? Yes, I did. I was closing my eyes for half an hour. I heard an alarm and I was like, where's my phone? Ah, well, you're welcome. Kept you up. I'm a lapsed athlete, it's fine. What did you used to do? Does look like they're baked perfectly. Close enough, I'd say. What's the most difficult thing you've baked? Good question. Probably, see, I don't know whether I can like gauge it by like how difficult it is or how much difficulty I had with it, which I guess is technically the same thing. but I guess like the memory of like, God, that was a pain in the ass. So I'm inclined to say macarons, but I'm actually not bad with macarons now. But my first experience was very, very touch and go. They didn't turn out poorly. The only downside is that I didn't let them air dry long enough after putting together the macaron batter. So they were a little bit oily on the outside, not great, but still tasted great. Second time I made them, and I'm not bragging here, but second time I made them, they were like perfection, like picture perfect macarons with a great color contrast. I went for like a light blue with a yellow in the buttercream, like it was French buttercream in it. Loved it, fantastic. But I will acknowledge they are a bit of a pain. The thing I remember that I thought was a huge, huge pain in the ass to make, and I probably made it a bit too early in my baking career, was pastel de nata, which, if you don't know, it's a Portuguese/Brazilian treat. Carashu would probably be a big fan of them, being that it's from Brazil. But they are this Portuguese/Brazilian treat that is like a cup of pastry. Underneath it is, and it's like, what kind of crazy? I can't remember this type of pastry. You know what pastry it is? The pastel de nata? Not phyllo pastry. Laminated pastry, that kind of thing. It's not, well, I think, yeah, the center of it is like a flan, but it's pastry around the outside, and it's like a cup of pastry. And the way that you have to shape it is like, you basically you have to laminate the hell out of it, which means, like, if you don't know how pastry is made, pastry is a huge pain in the ass to make. It is time consuming and often exhausting as well. So if you want to make pastry, you have to get the dough all mixed up, which is like flour, water, some butter. You roll it out pretty flat. Then you have to get some butter, which is like from the freezer, and grate it over and over again. And you got to be fast with it as well, because butter, even though it's frozen, melts very quickly. So you got to grate the shit out of it. Then you fold it as like an envelope, like in thirds. Flatten it down just a little bit, roll it out, and then you put it in the fridge. And then you do that over and over and over again. You've got to do it for like, you have to do it like 4 or 5 times, sometimes more, depending on what you're making. Pastel de nata, puff pastry, thank you very much. Completely left my brain. But with pastel de nata, you have to do it like, I think it was 6 times for the recipe I had. It was a recipe I got from the Great British Bake Off. But then, once it's all done, once you've repeated that over and over again, you have to roll it up into these like perfectly coiled, like into a perfectly coiled shape. So it's just like a tube of pastry. And then you have to cut them evenly. So it's like a bunch of little cylinders. You put that cylinder inside of a muffin tin container. You wet your thumb with a little bit of water, and then you have to ever so gingerly push it out into the corners and the edges of the muffin tin. And you want to create a perfect cup shape while leaving the bottom of the pastry cylinder, whatever you want to call it, undisturbed, because you want to have a perfect circle, like a perfect spiral underneath it. It turned out well. I will not deny it had excellent results for an attempt that was so early into my baking foray and everything. It turned out very well. But then getting to the part at the end where you have to make like the flan, yeah, that was where it kicked into overdrive, and everything just went so fast at that point. But like I said, it worked out. I'll post pictures in the Discord later on, which, you know, if you're not in the Discord, here is the address right now. I'll post pictures there, but yeah, God, I've made this twice in my life, and it's always been the thing which I've been the most reluctant to return to, unless I could just, you know, buy some decent puff pastry. But I like making stuff from scratch, you know. But by comparison to like macarons, I would happily return to macarons. Outside of that, I would say the other thing that was difficult was called Baumkuchen, I think it was. It's like a German cake. I might be wrong with what I'm defining here, but it's like a German cake with like 20 layers of cake in it. And you have to grill every single layer individually for like 2 minutes, put it back in the oven, repeat the step over and over again. Exhausting. Yeah, Baumkuchen, because this is the other one as well, Sachertorte, that's what I was thinking of, but yeah, it's Baumkuchen. My wife made Sachertorte before, and that was really nice. Hannah Marie Claydon, if you're here, thanks for the sub. Used to do competition swimming, gymnastics, tennis and fencing, oh my, and archery. Always wanted to try archery. I feel like it'd be one of those things that I'm either surprisingly good at or very terrible at. The worst I've personally made was Paris-Brest. I feel like I know that. Let me look it up. I'm searching for this on Google. I hope it doesn't just show me boobs from Paris. Okay, it didn't. Oh, yeah, that was complicated. Ooh. You certainly challenged yourself there. Yeah, I can't. Well, I'll tell you, I'll post the link to what I'm seeing here if anyone wants to see it. I'd show it on the screen, but I'm away from the PC setup and everything. 1 second. How do I tab into a... There we go. Yeah, here's the one I looked at least. Low Waist High Melon, thank you very much for joining me today. Enjoy your errands. And thank you very much once again. Enjoy the rest of your day. Okay, oh yeah, with Madeleines. Let's get these dusted, both literally and figuratively. Alright, where is my sieve? I don't have a, you know, you can get like a miniature sieve with more finer holes that you can sprinkle stuff on, but sadly I don't have one. I think I have one on my wish list, but that's about it. So I'm going to get a little bit of, that is granulated. I'm get a little bit of icing sugar and just give it a gentle sprinkle. Where did I put the icing sugar? I'm pretty sure I took it out. Oh, it's right there. Thank you. Okay. Choux pastry is really my enemy. I think I made one thing with choux pastry once, but I have heard that it is a bit of a nightmare to work with, which I've always wanted to make. I've never made chocolate eclairs, because that's choux. I do love an eclair, so if I do try to make it, I'll give that a go and see how that goes. But yeah, I have heard it's very inconsistent. Yeah, if you've had an eclair before, or a profiterole, or cream puff as they call it in America, or even a what's the big tower of cream puffs? I can't remember the name. Coq en bouche. Yeah, that's choux pastry right there. So yes, you may have had it. But no, I have not made croque en bouche. It would be an interesting experience, I would say that. All right. See, as challenges go, as baking challenges go, I would like to make like a multi-tiered cake. Only downside is we don't have enough people in our lives to actually take all that cake from us, or fridge space. Okay, so with this one, it's going to be pretty simple. I'm just going to put a bit of icing sugar inside of this. And I'm going to sprinkle it over the Madeleines at an angle just so it can catch on the ridges. See if I don't plug this up. I'm not going to go heavy on the sprinkles either. Yeah, I could definitely do with a smaller sieve for this one. The holes are so large that it doesn't really give it much definition, but it's fine. And yeah, like I mentioned earlier, you can also put like, these are lemon, so if you wanted to, white chocolate is a good contrast with lemon zest that's inside of these. I wouldn't do dark chocolate or even milk chocolate for that matter, just because, like I said, it's not a great combination of flavors. But if you like it, then you like it. It's perfectly fine. But there's also other things you can do as well, like when I last made orange flavored ones, I just gave them just went simple with it, put together some melted chocolate, dipped them inside of it, let it harden up and everything. If you want to get a bit fancier, one thing you can do is if you made some tempered chocolate, which can be a bit tricky, you can make some tempered chocolate and basically brush them onto the pan right here, make a nice even coating, and then you basically just take one of the Madeleines, push it in there, give it a little bit of a wiggle, and then leave it in there in the fridge for a good amount, and you can generally easily remove it from this, and there's a nice crispy layer of chocolate on top of it. I did that with one the last time I made these, just as sort of an experiment, and it was quite nice. You know what, I'm just going to do the sprinkle from above since the sieve isn't giving me the results I want. It's fine. Yeah, I need to get a sieve that has a smaller grain to it, or smaller holes. Okay. Now we're just going to get this looking Instagram presentable, even though I don't use Instagram. Because I already have enough self-esteem issues. Why would I want more? Get these organized. The humps did stick to the wooden cutting board a little bit, but it's fine. Okay. All right. Here are our Madeleines. Let me just get a good shot with the phone cam. Here we go. Madeleines. Lemon Madeleines. Very simple, very lovely. A little bit of sprinkling, but you can do whatever you want with them. I will post the recipe of these in the Discord, in the foodies section later on. I highly encourage you to make them. As you saw, these are very, very easy to make. Only thing that's required is a little bit of patience, but you don't need any fancy equipment or anything like that. You don't even have to use the honey if you don't want to. There are other recipes out there that use certain things as a different thing. Like mentioned before, there's the option of whipping up the eggs if you're able to. But yeah, honey, you don't even have to go fancy with it. You can just get something cheap from the store, like one of those bear honey things or something like that. Or you can also use like corn syrup if you want to, like a dark corn syrup. But let's go for the taste test. Let me pick one. I guess, do you want one as well? Okay, pick one. This. Okay, I'll hand one over to my wife as well. Bone apple tea. Try not to sniff it too hard because I don't want to get powdered sugar up my nose. Okay. Cheers. That is good. You ever seen like those travel shows where you have people going around the world trying different foods from other cultures and they never say that they dislike anything? You can do like one of those reactions where, oh, so good. Oh, it's incredible. It's like nothing I ever tried before. Just do a whole compilation of those faces. That's all you gotta do. Okay. My wife. Borat. I still find the my wife thing funny, I won't lie. Even from an ironic angle. Yeah, let me show you inside the Madeleine itself. As you can see, lovely and soft in it. And luckily it's not raw or anything like that in the middle. Perfectly baked through. Wonderful stuff. I'm pleased with those. Alright. So, what time is it right now? 4 o'clock. Wow, I finished early. That's the first time I finished baking something in a decent time span. And that's probably just because I got right into it. Let's see what I got. President is being killed. Okay. Not important. It's a joke, by the way. Probably shouldn't say that. You never know if USCIS catches on to this shit. These look so good. Well, thank you very much. Paris breast is topped with honey and almonds. The almonds I'm always a bit hit or miss with, like something like almond filling, which I always forget the name of. Like something in a Bakewell tart. I love that. What's it called? I'm forgetting everything today. Almond as a flavor, I really like. But like almonds on their own, that's kind of a texture thing for me. But I think with something like the thing that you showed me, the Paris breast, I think I could go along with that one. You're getting more and more fabulous while baking. Well, thank you. I was hoping people would notice. God damn it, I'm hungry now. Well, go make yourself some god dang Madeleines. These are way too good. I think I need another. Not the Paris breast, but the Bine stick. Assuming I'm saying that right. I've never heard of that one. Let me look it up. Oh, bean stick. Oh. Translates to bee sting cake. Okay. That does look pretty nice, yeah. One thing I would like to make, and I don't know how, I feel like it might be a little bit complicated, but there's you ever go to IKEA and they sell that that dime cake in there, the almondy dime cake? I fucking love those things. And when I used to work at IKEA and I would go to the break room, they'd always have some like on a plate there for employees to take. I never paid for them, but every single time I would just walk in there while no one was around, steal a slice, and go to town on that thing within the 10 minutes of break I had. Best time of my life. Have you had gâteau breton before? I might have. I mean, I've had quite a few gâteaux, like Black Forest and chocolate gâteau, white chocolate, or the cream and strawberry one, whatever it is. So I might have. Let me look it up. Hard to find gâteaux in the US. We'll say that. Whereas they're pretty popular in the UK. Breton. Yes, I believe I have had it before. Lovely. Maybe it's Madeleines. It is indeed. One thing that I made recently that was very simple but very lovely was olive oil cake. I think I posted it in the Discord a while back, and I posted it on my Blue Sky as well. But it's a very just plain looking cake, because it is a plain cake, but yeah, instead of the fats inside of it, instead of like your typical fats like milk, butter, etc., it uses about 250 milliliters of olive oil inside. But yeah, it gives it a really lovely flavor to it. It's not like overpowering or anything. It really enhances the sweetness. So nice. The only reason I wouldn't make it more often is because olive oil is fucking pricey. Like this here, it's 1 liter of olive oil. This is like the cheapest olive oil, or at least like the best priced olive oil that I can find in this area. I think this is like $10.99 or something like that. Olive oil isn't cheap, and if you buy from a supermarket, a typical supermarket, you can pay a shitload for something this size. But Trader Joe's, they do it for a decent price. Once again, I am not sponsored by Trader Joe's. I just go there for most of my things because they have decent quality goods. Olive oil has gotten so expensive. Yeah, I mean, olive oil probably be cheaper to use it in cooking. Probably cheaper to use petroleum in cooking these days than olive oil. It's so damn expensive. The olive oil is great. It does have a very low burn point, so it's not ideal for everything. You know, like if you are like cooking red meats, for example, it's not amazing for that, because red meats, you generally want to have the higher temperature, at least to start out with. And yeah, it can make things a bit for that. So you may want to go for like canola oil, vegetable oil, etc. But olive oil is, you know, a healthier oil. It's good for your heart, for example. But yeah, as I and Edelweiss attest to, it is so damn expensive. Almost 10 euros for 750 milliliter. And that's close to this one. Probably a little bit more expensive though, I will say. Palm oil is the thing. I've never really used palm oil, but I bet it's not as multi-purpose as other oils. If I can't use olive oil, I just use canola oil, because it's still pretty healthy. It's got a decent burn point. And yeah, it's good. And if I make something like fried chicken, I like to use peanut oil. That is very, very nice for deep frying. You know, I'm gonna have another one of these. I can't help myself. I'm pathetic. I think this is the first time I've ever doubled down on the taste test on stream. Do you want another one? Alright, I'll just feel terrible about eating 2 things on my own. Oh my god. Oh yeah, this used the olive oil in it. Lovely. I could easily eat these in just one bite. This is so good. Look at that perfect bite mark. Ooh. Rapeseed oil is nice too for salads. Some I've heard, yeah. I was wondering why you weren't going after them all. Self-restraint, although not that much self-restraint. And you know, it's we got another batch ready, which I'll probably throw together tomorrow since it's the weekend. You made it yourself, enjoy it, savor it. Yeah, you know, that's the wonderful thing about bacon. And if you fancy giving Madeleines a shot, which, you know, probably most of you won't since it requires the baking tray, which I said is pretty cheap though. Feel free to share your efforts on Discord. Whether it's a success or a failure, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you tried something. And you know, if you want advice from myself or anyone else that's involved in baking, there's loads of people there you can ask. There's some very good bakers in our Discord. I'm the person who finishes Pringles very quickly. Same. I'm a Pringle fiend. It's disturbing how many Pringles I'll have in one sitting. Like you sit down, you have like a single Pringle, and then you're like, oh, it's pretty nice. I remember Pringles; they were really good. You know, I'll just have one more. Next thing you know, you're like doubling down with the Pringles, taking two at once, get that extra hit of flavor, and it's like, oh well, no. It's a treat. I don't get to have Pringles very often. Next thing you know, you're going for like the 3 stack, the 4 stack, and you know, if you've really gone off the edge, like the 7 stack, you're just all like that. You've given up on caring at that point. I've been there on numerous occasions, and you know, I'm fine with that. Julia Child would have loved Salari. Perhaps. I don't know if I could have gone along with her voice though. Make sure you preheat the oven. Is that what she sounded like? What else I like making is mille-feuille. Just layered puff pastry and cream and custard cream topped with sugar glazing. Yeah, mille-feuille, they're absolutely wonderful. I've been meaning to make those for a while, but because I do like making stuff from scratch, the prospect of making puff pastry fills me with dread. I should probably just buy some pre-made puff pastry from somewhere good. Maybe Trader Joe's, not sponsored. But yeah, mille-feuille are great. In fact, in the UK, we have custard slices, which are similar to mille-feuille, except there is only 2 layers of pastry on it, so just the top and the bottom. But the middle of it is like that custard, except it's more solidified with corn flour inside of it. So it's just like a gelatinous cube of custard inside of it. There's no gelatin. You can do it with gelatin, but texture's weird with that. But yeah, it's got like this nice, firm sort of cuboid of custard inside of it. It's fairly big. I can't pull up a picture right now for you, but you know, look up custard slice UK or something like that. And then on the top, you can put something like maybe some fondant. I can't stand fondant, so I avoid it. But you could put like royal icing or something like that on it. They are so damn good. One of my favorites. I really want to make one, but it's surprisingly hard to get a hold of corn flour here. You can get corn starch here, easy enough, but corn flour is a little bit thicker in grain size compared to cornstarch, so but yeah, they're wonderful. Custard slices, oh my god, I miss those. I know people who review Trader Joe's products and they're sponsored by Trader Joe's. I mean, maybe one day I'll step into my Trader Joe's nearby and say, hey, I have a stream and actually talk about I actually speak highly of your products pretty often. How about we make something happen, eh? Like, what, are you trying to pay me for sex? No. I want to promote your products on my stream because I like your products. You know, win-win here. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure thing. How about $50? Well, sir, that's not how this works. Okay, 100? No. 120? No. Okay. Well, this was a mistake, and I can never come back to this Trader Joe's again because I'm too embarrassed. Oh, whoa, sorry to hear that. I just taught myself out of it. Story of my life. Let me get my charger for my laptop. Telling me it's low battery. I think I brought up this little tidbit before, but one thing that does bother me when I go to Trader Joe's near me for my grocery shopping, or any grocery store for that matter, where you have to go through the checkout and speak to the person there. I bring with me this large bag, this material bag, which has like compartments and stuff that you can put all your things in. It's supposed to be a substitute for having a bunch of plastic or paper bags. So I bring that with me, and then I bring another small refrigerated bag, like insulated bag, which I put like larger objects in there, like bottles and such. But with this fold away bag, which has its compartments and shit, every single time I bring it out, I always get some comment from the person working there. Now I know that they're just trying to be nice and friendly. They're just like, oh, look at that. It's just small talk. But it ends up bothering me to the point where I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to inconvenience my life and my shopping experience just so I don't have another person bring up this bag. I want them to talk to me as though I'm a human being, that I'm not just defined by my efficiency in bag carrying. Damn it, I need to be validated. But it just kept happening every single time, and I was like, yeah, it's a pretty neat bag. Because, yeah, it would just be the case where, like, you go to the checkout, and I always ask to pack my own stuff as well, just because I don't like watching someone doing something that, I can do perfectly fine. And yeah, every single time I go up to him, it's like, oh, it's a very nice bag, that one. What can it do? Hold shit. What do you think? Yeah, I just thought, yeah, it's pretty nice. I got it a while back. It was a gift from my in-law. Oh, it's very nice. You don't see those very often these days. It must be useful. Yes, it is useful. Yes. Otherwise, I wouldn't be using it. I didn't say it. Anyway, I'm going off the rails here. The Brits put clotted cream on everything. No, not really. We tend to just use it on scones. But you use a good amount on scones, preferably with some jam on the top of it. Clotted cream is magnificent. It's so damn good. I wish I could find it here easily. I wish that I could make it here because it's very simple to make. However, if you want to make it, you have to use unpasteurized cream, single cream, or I think heavy. But it is not possible to buy unpasteurized cream from the stores here. You would have to buy it illegally. So yeah, I can't make it. They won't be able to resist the Salari charm offensive. I mean, many have tried and succeeded, but that says more about me, really. And maybe a Salari, a compliment once is nice, but when people can't help but bring the same thing up over and over, it gets annoying. It does, yeah, because like I said, I have other stuff to talk about other than my bag. I know they're just being nice, but it's just like, fuck this bag. I don't care about it anymore. See this bag? In the trash. That's what I think of this bag. Now please pass me some other bags so I can fill my stuff in there, and then we can have a real conversation. How do you see yourself dying? By the way, that's not a threat. I'm just trying to get existential. Here, cashiers don't talk to you. Just rush the scanners through the articles through the scanner. Whereabouts are you? In Germany, I assume, by the name. Or am I just stereotyping here? In the UK, it depends on where you are in a country. Like if you're in London, they don't give a shit. They'll just rush you through straight away. Where I'm from, in the north of England, you will generally get like friendlier cashiers there. You know, you'll go up there and like, "You're not, love. You having a good day?" Oh, someone's got some profiteroles. You must be doing something fancy. I would say like I don't mind having a conversation with a cashier though. Like I don't go out very often. I don't meet very many people. So having opportunities to speak to people is something that is useful. I mean, that's a big reason why I do streaming, so I can like increase my social interaction quota. You know, when I put that little bit in the thumbnail where it says Tuesday's social interaction stream, that's a part truth to that. You know, I put it there as a joke, but there is truth to that shit. I don't get enough social interaction. So thank you for assisting me with it, I should say. It keeps me going stir crazy by becoming some sort of bitter hermit, something like that. I lived in Leeds for a bit. Ah, if you lived where I came from, Bokraj. I did not know that. Definitely introduced to many people and their dogs. Always say hi to people and their dogs. It may not make the day of the dog, but it will. It may not make the day of the owner, but it will make the day of the dog. That was a weirdly difficult sentence to say. Germany is. Oh, okay, I figured as much. I can see that being a thing in Germany though, because like a lot of other places in Europe, like Scandinavia and whatnot, it's very, you know, you just get by doing your own business there. Like, because one thing I've always like pointed out to people here is that like, when it comes to strangers, just saying like, you know, "Hi, how you doing? How's it going?" Like, you'll just walk down the street or around our apartment complex and you'll get people saying that. It just makes me just think like, why are you talking to me? And it's just because to Europeans that kind of behavior comes across as very insincere, because, you know, we think to ourselves, well, I don't know you, like, why do you care about how I'm doing? It's not like cynical necessary or brash, but it is just one of those things where I was like, just keep to yourself, all right? We're both fine. And everyone still sees it as, like, if I explain it to Americans, they're still just like, ooh, sounds very antisocial to me. And the explanation to that is like, well, you know, you don't have to be social all the time, right? Like, that's exhausting. Yes, fancy, I say, planning on sitting on the couch at 3 a.m. eating profiteroles. Hey, we've all been there. I'm pretty sure I've literally done that at some point in my life. It was a great time. Salari meets Alex from Target and destroys him. Still hoping I can come by your corner of the world in October and say hi. I hope so too. It'll be interesting meeting one of you all in the flesh for the first time. Hopefully I won't be too much of a disappointment. But if I am, I get it. I've had to get used to the difference when I was doing an internship with Americans. At first, I was really offended when someone I thought was a friend didn't keep up with me. Yeah, it's American relationships as a European, or most foreigners I assume, are very bizarre at first. It does take some getting used to. And they have to get used to you as well, you know? It's a weird quagmire of misunderstandings. As a very stereotypically European person now living in the US, I've always thought that just smiling at people goes a long way. I think, you know, like a little smile and acknowledgement, stuff like that isn't too bad. You know, just you're walking by, you happen to like make eye contact with someone on like the opposite side to you, like you're walking down the street, you know, just go like, oh, you know, add a bit more of a flavor to it. Then. You don't even need to do the whole nod. Just like, how you doing? I'm recognizing you. I'm seeing you. I am acknowledging your existence in this world. That's enough. Never disappointing. I'm quite strange in IRL. In IRL. We shall see. Even if I don't want to socialize, I have to because it's good for me. It is true, yeah. You have to sort of push yourself, really. Because the alternative is doing nothing at all and becoming even more awkward. Alright, I am going to take another brief break. What time is it? 4:33. Okay. Going to take a wee break and probably wrap up shortly thereafter. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I'll be about 3 or 4 minutes or so, something like that. In the meantime, if you haven't yet answered the question of the day, it's still available. But yeah, I'll be back in a minute. Okay. What you all been talking about? Message retracted. Was it you who retracted them, Rowan, or did the system do it? Jared Sadewater or Sade Water. Hey everyone, how you doing, Jared? How's it going? Did I pronounce that right either way? I'm too autistic to make eye contact or fake smile at people. It makes my face too long, so yeah. Yeah, I do not like making eye contact with people either. I don't even like making eye contact with the camera. The only reason why I can hold on to it in a video for so long is because I have my teleprompter on there, so I kind of have to look at it. But you can generally always notice the times where I'm going off script when I start looking away from the camera, because that's me just sort of like pulling from my own mind as opposed to like holding the gaze onto it there, or holding my gaze onto it there. Weird phrasing, but yeah. Got the same problem. It's either too intense or I'm not looking at the person at all. Yeah, it feels like there's never a good middle ground, really. I mean, an old salesperson's trick, and everyone's probably heard this at this point, is to look right there at someone's forehead because it gives the same kind of impression that you're looking at the head. But even then I feel weird, just why am I looking so hard at someone's forehead? I pronounced it right. Wonderful. Just vibing. Good, good, good. It's Friday. Time to vibe in all ways, shapes and forms. I'm glad to have you here. I love holding the gaze. Hey, girl, they love being held too. Hold the gaze gently like the hamburger. Like, You just put some more stuff away. How intense is that on the camera? Let me see. Not that bad, although I do have a filter on my camera lens, so that probably helps it. I've always hated getting blasted in the eyes with a laser though. It just makes me feel extremely uncomfortable. That and strobe lighting. Like, one of the reasons why I don't really go to concerts these days is just become like, I don't have epilepsy, But strobe lighting always makes me feel like really uncomfortable. I can't explain it, but it's just, yeah, I remember a few years back we went to see the Smashing Pumpkins, and I think they were doing the song Adore. Okay. Yeah, they had like this this pattern of the strobe lighting that was like, it wasn't just the typical like strobe lighting. It was like something like that. It was like a irregular pattern to it, and it just, yeah, made me feel really uncomfortable to the point where I just like had to shield my eyes just to not be exposed to it. It was weird. First time I experienced that, and then ever since, I've always been weird with strobe lighting. It's not a big deal, you know, it's not debilitating or anything, but still. Although I won't lie, when it was happening, I kind of did start fearing that, like, is this, you know, me suddenly being susceptible to seizures now? Like, is it the beginning of it? And luckily it wasn't. But you never know. You can make all kinds of changes throughout your life. Are you gonna use this lemon for anything? Okay, because yeah, these should be fine, they're just zested. These in the fridge. We also have a third lemon as well if you need it. There's enough on there for a zest. We've got a straight up lemon party inside that fridge. Hands up if you know. No, lemon party, just a group of guys having a good time. I'm done baking cookies and I need to go. See you next stream. Syndrome Noir, thank you very much for joining us on this stream. Hope your cookies are great. Share them in the Discord if you can. And thank you once again for your support. I know you're a supporter on Patreon. Thank you to any of you who support me on Patreon, by the way. Like, it does make a big difference. I really don't earn that much money on Patreon compared to a lot of other creators of my size, so it does really help me a lot. Especially since YouTube pays jack shit, really. Or if you are someone that supports me as a member as well, that's great too. You know, this job ain't free, sadly. As much as like people like to think that it's a free job, it's not. I was spending a lot of my time on my laptop when writing my bachelor's, and at some point my eyes just started to act funny and I couldn't focus them for hours. I've had that as well before. A couple of years ago, like, I found it like deeply uncomfortable to look at my computer screen, and I've been told that it was just eye strain, but I don't know, it felt a little bit more different to that. Like, I remember I was playing Final Fantasy XIV, doing a dungeon in that, and there were just some scenes where like the screen got really bright all of a sudden when the location changed, and yeah, I found it like almost unbearable to look at. It was awful. So I had to like lower all the brightness settings and everything just to make it seem like it was a lot more muted, turn on night mode and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was unpleasant as experiences go. See if I can plate this to make it look somewhat presentable. Oh, Jared Sadewater, I can't remember which one it was. Thank you very much. Gifted 10 memberships. That is so kind of you. Let's see who got some. Oh my god. It's going to give a bunch of notifications right now, so sorry about all the pings. Let's see. Ratfink, Jennifer Lee, Cam Elanza, Q Balonek, Project, Professor Strangefinger, I like that name. Natalie C, JW, Sarah's Victoria, and a person's name whom I can't read. Enjoy your memberships. Jared, thank you so much. That is really, really kind of you. Like I said, the support does go a very long way. Yeah, I never know what to say, but thank you. Oh, and Rowan, thank you very much for the $10 tip as well. Wow. I think like last time I got a tip was like the first baking stream that I did, so it's nice to see. YouTube pays if you have good representation, which I do not. But yeah, it's one of those things where like you sort of, you get more out of it the more that you put into it. But if you do YouTube and you can't put much into it anyway, it makes it even harder to, you know, get that stuff out of it instead. These are not presentable at all. But yeah, thank you very much for your kindness, people. That does mean a lot. I've been having some difficult times lately. Uncertainty about the future and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that does help. The kindness of strangers is a most potent thing. These do not look presentable at all. Oh well. Ta-da. Hey Salari, I did a research paper on the topic of hikikomori a couple of years back, and I want you to know that your video helped me a lot. Thanks for doing what you do. Well, thank you very much. I'm glad that it helped out. Yeah, the Loneliness in Japan video was one hell of a project, a very depressing project, and even though since then Japan has made some moves to help people with, well, help people who live the hermit slash hikikomori lifestyle, there's still the fact that they overlook the underlying issues that might be present, and that's like a lot of people who qualify as hikikomori can have, most commonly, other problems present, or not problems, but other things present that explain it. Like, for example, they can be autistic, they can have ADHD, obviously they can have like anxiety, depression, all of which makes it difficult to function in the regular world. But Japanese society, being Japanese society, many people there just see it as being lazy and not something that needs to be catered to, which makes the whole situation worse for them. But, you know, like I said, they have made some more efforts. Not enough, but hopefully they'll get there someday. The major roadblock, honestly, is just the cultural norms that deem people like that just outsiders, and then, you know, just feel worse on the back of that. Yeah, that was one hell of a video. Took a lot of work, that one, but I'm glad it helped. Actually, I need that board in a bit if it didn't. Yeah, thank you very much for your support, people. That is so, so kind. I'm always a little shaky at expressing gratitude at things, so I am sorry if I'm not like, ooh, you know, supercharged or anything like that, but it does do something for me in that respect. 1 second. Gotta check something on my PC. Anyone having technical issues right now? Because it shows my frame rate or my bit rate dropping. Okay. Luckily YouTube isn't too bad when it comes to bit rate drops. Whereas Twitch is just like, as soon as you start going below like the set speed on it, Twitch is just like, fuck your stream. Now everyone gets to have a horrible time. I feel like expressing gratitude this way is way more authentic than doing loads. Yeah, I think no need to perform being thankful for us to believe that you're grateful. That's good to hear. It is very good to hear stuff like that. Because yeah, it's always been one of those things like I find it really difficult to express excitement for things or gratitude, whatever you want to call it. And in a world which, our online economies are driven by reactions to things, especially over the top reactions, I feel like it's kind of become expected of a lot of people. Like when something good happens or something hype happens, everyone needs to be like really over the top, like, whoa, oh my god, oh, oh. But yeah, that is sort of like become the expected norm, especially like among like younger generations in particular. And to me, it comes across as just like an insincere thing, really. I find it hard to believe that any human being is capable of getting so excited over like the trailer to a superhero movie or something like that. But yeah, you know, reaction content. A lot of people have made a lot of money off that stuff, and all they had to do was fake a reaction. Yeah, all the reactions like, yo, no, oh my god, they included this nostalgic thing. Oh my god. Ugh. So dumb. That's just very British. It is partly from being British too, I won't lie. Stream froze once for me about like 15 minutes ago, but it's good now. Okay, that's not too bad. I can live with that. I saw the sorted food boys short-circuiting when paying each other compliments. Or whether that averse to doing so? That's just really annoying. I can't stand streamers like that. It really gets on my nerves very fast. Yeah, it does me too. I will admit, I'll hold my hands up and say like I don't really watch many other streamers, at least not for extended periods of time. But you know, it's kind of like an interesting effect because, you know, the majority of people that watch streams these days are like Gen Zs, teenagers to like early mid-20s maybe. Like they'll watch a lot of streaming content. They're like the key demo. But then like it's also, I don't know, because a lot of these people get so influenced by the streamers that they watch to a very unhealthy degree in many cases. But then it's sort of like, now when you see like these people on like TikTok or YouTube or whatever, and they're like showing their reactions to something, is always over the top. So, and they do that because like, well, my favorite streamer, if he sees like, I don't know, $1 on the street, he reacts like it's $1 billion that he just found. So I should act like that too. So it puts people like me, and probably people such as yourselves, in a position where you're around that level of excitement. It feels deeply uncomfortable. You know, it's like, what is happening here? Like, why are you reacting to that? You know, it's like if I took a bite out of one of these, which I won't, because I've already had two, and then suddenly I was like, oh my god, bro, it's so good. Oh, it's the best thing I ever tasted. And I'm like, all right. Tone it down, Harry. Neither do I just support my friends on Twitch sometimes. Neither do I just support my friends on Twitch sometimes. I'm also a Gen Z and can't get behind it, to be honest. Yeah, and you know, a lot of Gen Z people, like they just don't feel it. And I get that. I'm sure if I was Gen Z, I would feel the same way too. I mean, you know, easier said than done because life goes in very different directions depending on the time and place where you're born. But I will say, like, I think the overhype stuff is I feel like it is like an intrinsically American thing too. Like you don't really see European people going over the top with all that kind of stuff. At least that's from what I've witnessed anyway. I authentically get overhyped about some things that probably seem silly. That's just a special internet brain going brrr. I love doing the flapping hands. It's honestly, I kind of admire people that are capable of that level of excitement. As I've said before, like I you know, I'm just not attuned to it. There is a history to it, which I won't get into because, you know, it is personal stuff as to why I find it difficult to get excited about things. But it does make me look at other people who do get like even genuinely excited, or even have the energy to come up with a arguably fake reaction to something and muster up the energy for it. Because I look at it and I was like, damn, I wish I could, you know, feel that level of excitement for something instead of just, I guess, being jaded. I think it would make more sense to talk about Gen Alpha at this point. Probably Gen Alpha, God, what's going to happen with them? Future is a weird place for Gen Alpha. That's probably why the only streamers I watch are sometimes the European. Well, yeah, there you go. That makes sense. Oh, we're done. Yes, unfortunately, we're done, Annie. How are you doing, Annie? How are you doing, Annie? Nice to have you here. Let me show you the final product. Yeah, nice to have you here. Sorry, ended up missing it. But yeah, it went by fairly quickly this time because I somehow managed to stay focused. Let me open up the camera. Yeah. Here are the Madeleines with a nice sprinkling of powdered sugar on the top of it, slash icing sugar. Kind of hard to tell, but they got like that shell shape on the top of it. Yeah, the powdered sugar looks like it obscured it more than I would have liked. Yeah, and a nice hump at the bottom of it. Very, excuse me, need to burp. Very, very nice. I love these. Yeah, they were a success. And I get to make another batch later on because I had to do the whole here's when I did earlier thing. I'm not even sure how to make these presentable. Plating isn't my strong suit, I will say that. Like making like a letter? No. It was kind of a spiral, unintentionally. No, whatever. Okay. Yeah, sorry you ended up coming here late. Is it YouTube notifications you get or the Discord ones? I try to put out the Discord one as soon as possible. I need 4 cups of coffee daily to stay alive. That type of excitement is far from me. I don't blame it. I used to drink coffee like a fish drinks water, but yeah, I ended up having to cut it out just because that really messed with my anxiety. So these days I tend to just have like 1 or 2 cups of tea, English breakfast tea, for when I wake up, and a little bit throughout the middle of the day just for a bit of a pick-me-up. Flappy hands remind me as a meme about flapping sleeves on an oversized. Don't think I've seen that. Beautiful Madeleine, I miss bakery so much. Yeah, there's not as much as there used to be. That's for sure. I can't think, well, I think there's a pretty decent one nearby me. I can't remember what its name is, but I definitely don't visit them as much as I used to. And I do miss Greggs from the UK. Greggs is a huge bakery chain, but they are good, I won't lie. Especially sausage rolls, their donuts, pasties. Greggs is great. Love that stuff. That's one of the things I miss the most from the UK. If you've never been to a Greggs, you haven't lived yet. Presentation, I often use a wooden basket. Not a bad idea, yeah. I mean, I would have used that, well, I might go back to using that bamboo chopping board, but I am going to be using it in a moment for dinner, so I'd sort of put it aside for the time being. But yeah, I do need some more like presentation stuff. I don't want to just use like the, you know, everyone uses like the slate or like you know, like black square plates and stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of that stuff. I mean, it looks nice, but yeah, I don't know. I want to be a bit different. I'm in engineering, can't live without caffeine, unfortunately. Oof. It's rough. I quit coffee too, sad. I didn't struggle that much. Lots of people say that they always like really struggled when they quit drinking coffee. I didn't really have an issue with it. But I did try and transition off it by switching to decaf, first of all. So like the habit was still there, but obviously the caffeine was being removed from it. So yeah, maybe if you ever need to get off coffee, just switch to decaf. It makes it much easier. Currently on the detox though. Ooh, how's that going? I quit coffee and now I'm over 3 years alcohol sober, so all I have now is weed. Well, at least you have that. Don't have that in North Carolina, sadly. Still. I think it's like 38 states, 38, 36 states have legalized weed in some kind of way, but like the rest of the holdouts are just the fucking southern states. Oh, shocker, obviously. But yeah, it's just like, just make it federally legal, please. Not a big deal. Oh, it's the gateway drug. Shut up. I literally had a Dunkin' cold brew and a donut this morning. That does sound great. I do love a donut in the morning to start the day. Donuts are my Achilles heel, I will say that. Controversial opinion, I hate the Greg sausage roll. That is controversial and borderline unacceptable, I won't lie. But do tell, why do you not like the delicious and godlike Greg sausage roll? If I'm to guess, I'd say you might think that they're too salty, because that's one of the complaints that I hear about them. But I will say I do like salty stuff, so it's probably up my alley. I've never been to a Greg's. I miss Parisian bakeries because there's nothing remotely similar to where I live now. Yeah, that is a very unique kind of thing that you can't, not exactly the kind of thing you can replicate in other parts of the world. Having been to a couple of Parisian bakeries, yes, they do live up to their reputation. Certainly do. Greg's, a kind of a guilty pleasure, I guess. You know, it's cheap, but it's all made on the premises and everything. I had to quit energy drinks, now I drink coffee. You know, coffee is way better than energy drinks, I will say that. Energy drinks are just full of garbage. Plus, personally, I don't think any of them taste good. Germany legalized weed now. Oh, I did not know that. How long, has that been a recent thing or been a while? Even the UK doesn't have legal weed, like, and you know, but you know, we've had a Tory government for almost 15 years now, which is hopefully coming to a fucking end come July 1st, where we have an election, because, God, what a shit show. I won't get started, but goddamn, 14 years of this crap. I don't know why they don't taste good to me. I was also disappointed that there wasn't a whole sausage, and just a puree. Well, that's kind of how sausage rolls are, really. They're sausage with the casing taken out. I think the reason why they don't put the sausage in there is just the method in which they bake it. It would cause a sausage that was in a casing to basically just burst open because of the amount of heat going into it. But if you try to appreciate it for what it is rather than what it isn't, you can find a love for it that way. Because for me, like, my favorite part of the Greg sausage roll is the amazing flaky pastry that's in it. It is, ooh, so good. That is witchcraft how they get that right. Why did you have to move to a state that hasn't legalized marijuana? It's a rhetorical question. Well, sadly, my wife lived here, and we assumed that at some point it would have been made legal since North Carolina veers on the more progressive side of southern states, but we also have far too many shitheads in the government to ensure that it doesn't get a leg up. And I assume all those people have a nice amount of money in their bank accounts due to tobacco lobbyists. But yeah, I know you're being rhetorical, but that's, you know, moved here, she lived here. Although I wouldn't mind moving states. We're good state. The EU elections have been a shit show. Yeah, so I've heard. Yeah. It's, God, Europe is, in general, is kind of a shit show right now. What's going on there? Especially like in Germany as well. Oh my God. I'm here for the British political discourse. Honestly, British political discourse right now is the Tories have been in power for way too long. Everyone hates their guts. And even all those people that have stood by the Tories for their entire run, despite their embarrassment after embarrassments, have finally cottoned on to the fact that these people are absolutely worthless and are doing nothing except trying to destroy the country and the NHS. It sucked that it took 14 years for them to figure that shit out. It should have never started in the first place. The only downside is that the opposition who's going to win is, you know, Labour will win, I hope, but they're just a bunch of milquetoast politicians who like don't really want to make any substantial changes, at least nothing that like will impact the lives of working class people in a positive way. It'll just be like, I get the feeling it'll just be like American politics, like with the Democrats in power now. It's like, well, we didn't do anything bad, but we also didn't do anything good either, so kind of a win. I was like, no, you should do good things, and you shouldn't wait until elections roll around to get pats on the back from people so you can get their vote. Awful. Macron dissolved the assembly because the results were just so bad, so we've got to vote again in July too. It's a joke. All these leaders, Jesus Christ. Oh, I have hair in my nostril. I'm furious, but I'm also allowed to pretend it doesn't exist for now. That is true. It is okay every now and then to bury your head in the sand if it helps you survive, as I spoke about in a past video. But 1 second. Why does my pause play thing never work on there? Could you select the Spotify, please? I'm trying to pause my Spotify from over here. Bear with me. Okay. Okay. Anyway, I believe I'm going to wrap it up there since I need to go get dinner and everything. But thank you very much for watching the stream. It was nice to see some new faces here. It's always a pleasant thing. And I hope to see you all return at some point. Because next time we just do some general streams where I talk and maybe play some games. Who knows what? Whatever takes my fancy, really. But it is lovely to talk to you all. And it's been lovely getting to know you all as well. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care of yourselves. Do something nice for yourself as well. Do some baking, go out, get some sunshine, treat yourself to a nice ice cream or something like that. For it's the summer, and summer is hot. That's all I got. Anyway, thank you very much for watching once again. Enjoy your weekend. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.